Earth 1, Metropolis, 72 hours before convergence. Superman's fist connected with Doomsday's jaw with force that shattered windows across 3 city blocks, the shockwave sending cars tumbling through the air like leaves in a hurricane. The Kryptonian hero had been fighting the gray-skinned abomination for 17 minutes. 17 minutes of combat that had already claimed 4 city blocks and threatened to level Metropolis entirely if he couldn't end this quickly. "You've gotten stronger," Superman assessed, dodging a blow that would have pulverized mountains. "Last time we fought, you couldn't adapt this fast. What's different?" Doomsday didn't answer. Couldn't answer, having no consciousness beyond the drive to kill and destroy. But something was different. The creature's eyes held a malevolence that suggested intelligence where there should be only rage, and its adaptive evolution was occurring at rates that violated even Kryptonian understanding of biology. Superman prepared for another assault when reality hiccuped. That was the only word for it. Reality itself seemed to skip like a corrupted video file, and for one impossible moment, Superman existed in 2 places simultaneously, fighting Doomsday in Metropolis and standing somewhere else entirely, somewhere that glowed with energy from 1,000 dying suns. "Clark," Batman's voice came through the Justice League communicator, carrying the particular urgency that suggested global catastrophe. "Something's happening. Dimensional sensors across the watchtower just went critical. We're detecting breaches in..." Static consumed the transmission, then cleared. "The multiverse is fracturing. Multiple Earths reporting similar phenomena. This isn't an invasion. This is something worse." Before Superman could respond, another reality hiccup occurred. This time, he fully disappeared from Metropolis, yanked through dimensional barriers by forces that made the Phantom Zone seem quaint by comparison. Doomsday, left without an opponent, roared in frustration and collapsed into particles of dark energy that dispersed into the atmosphere as if the creature had never been real, as if he'd been merely a distraction, keeping Superman occupied while something far worse was prepared. Earth X116, New York City, simultaneous Thor Odinson, God of Thunder, Prince of Asgard, and Avenger, stood atop Stark Tower, watching the sky with growing concern that even his millennia of experience couldn't fully process. The stars were wrong, not astronomically incorrect, metaphysically wrong, as if the universe itself had become confused about which reality it was supposed to be. "Stark," Thor called to Tony Stark, who was running diagnostics from his armor while hovering beside the Thunder God. "Your mortal instruments, do they detect the distortion I sense? If by detect you mean are completely losing their minds, then yes," Tony replied, his helmet's HUD showing error messages cascading across every sensor suite he possessed. "I'm reading dimensional tears opening across the planet. Not small ones. We're talking crisis on infinite Earths level breaches. And they're getting bigger. I have faced universe enders before," Thor said grimly, Mjolnir crackling with lightning in response to his rising concern. "Surtur, Gore the God Butcher, entities that threatened all of Asgard. This feels worse. This feels like the twilight of not just gods, but of existence itself." The distortion intensified. Manhattan's skyline began overlapping with other skylines, not just from alternate Earths, but from entirely different universes. For a brief moment, Tony's sensors detected architecture that matched neither Marvel nor DC realities, but something else entirely. The angular geometry of Halo's UNSC buildings, the Gothic spires of Warhammer 40K, the crystalline structures of alien civilizations from universes that shouldn't be touchable. "Thor, we need to," Tony started, but never finished. Reality seized both heroes and pulled them through dimensional barriers with force that would have killed normal beings. Thor managed to maintain grip on Mjolnir through divine connection, while Tony's armor protected him through sheer technological sophistication, but both were helpless against the currents that dragged them between universes. UNSC Forward Operating Base, Installation 04, Halo Ring. Simultaneous Master Chief Petty Officer John 117, Spartan Discern, humanity's greatest soldier, the man who'd saved Earth from the Covenant and the Flood, stood in the command center, analyzing enemy movement patterns with Cortana's assistance. The Covenant had deployed unusual forces to this sector, not their standard military formations, but concentrated religious expeditions searching for something. "Chief," Cortana's holographic form appeared beside him, her expression carrying concern that made even the stoic Spartan pause. "We have a problem, a big one. I'm detecting quantum fluctuations in space-time that match no known Forerunner technology. And given that Forerunner tech was capable of building galaxy-spanning ring weapons, whatever's causing this is operating at scales that shouldn't be possible." "Recommendations?" Chief asked, his voice carrying the economical precision of someone who'd spent decades making life-or-death decisions. "Honestly, pray," Cortana replied, "because if my analysis is correct, we're not dealing with a threat to this ring, or even this galaxy. We're dealing with something that's affecting the fundamental structure of..." The ring shuddered, not from weapon impact or structural failure, but from reality itself rejecting the ring's existence in its current form. Through the command center's viewports, Chief watched as space began folding in ways that violated physics, as if the universe was origami, and something was creasing it into impossible shapes. "Cortana, what's..." Master Chief vanished mid-sentence, armor and all, pulled through dimensional barriers that recognized him as one of the multiverse's greatest defenders and needed him elsewhere. Cortana, existing partially in the quantum substrate of his armor's neural interface, was dragged along for the journey. Planet Vegeta's ruins, other world, simultaneous Goku floated in the ethereal realm of the afterlife, having recently finished training with King Kai and preparing to return to Earth to defend it against whatever threats emerged. His power had grown exponentially. Super Saiyan Blue mastered, Ultra Instinct glimpsed, but even godly power couldn't prepare him for what happened next. "Goku!" King Kai's voice came through their telepathic link with unusual panic. "Something's wrong with the universe. I'm sensing dimensional distortions that... The Supreme Kais are convening emergency session. Xeno himself is concerned." "Xeno!" Goku's expression became serious. The Omni King being concerned meant reality itself was threatened. "King Kai, what kind of threat makes the king of everything worried?" "The kind that comes from outside our multiverse entirely," King Kai replied. "The kind that..." "Goku, brace yourself!" Reality tore, and Goku, accustomed to instant transmission, time manipulation, and dimensional travel, still felt his stomach lurch as he was yanked through barriers between universes that he hadn't known existed. His key senses, normally reliable across vast distances, went haywire as he passed through spaces where energy worked on completely different principles. The nexus of all realities, convergence point. They arrived simultaneously from infinite directions, heroes ripped from dying universes, pulled through dimensional barriers by desperate cosmic forces, seeking to concentrate resistance against approaching darkness. Superman landed in a space that was simultaneously infinite and claustrophobic, where physics from every universe applied at once, creating paradoxes that Kryptonian senses struggled to process. Batman arrived through different vector, his contingency-laden mind already analyzing the impossible architecture. Wonder Woman manifested with the rest of the Justice League. Flash, Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, Martian Manhunter, Aquaman, all looking disoriented by travel through dimensions their powers hadn't been designed to navigate. Thor crashed down beside Tony Stark. Both Avengers joined moments later by the rest of their team. Captain America, Steve Rogers, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Hulk, currently in Bruce Banner form but clearly agitated, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, and dozens more. Master Chief and Cortana materialized in full combat configuration, the Spartan's training allowing him to assess tactical situation before even understanding where he was. Unknown environment, unknown threats, unknown allies, standard UNSC deep cover scenario, just scaled to metaphysical proportions. Goku arrived in burst of key energy, his scion instincts immediately categorizing every powerful being present. Superman's energy felt like concentrated solar power. Thor radiated divine essence that reminded him of Beerus, and Master Chief, despite lacking energy, signature somehow registered as extremely dangerous through sheer disciplined lethality. But they weren't alone. Through continuing dimensional tiers came heroes from across infinite realities. The X-Men arrived, Professor Charles Xavier, Wolverine, Storm, Cyclops, Jean Grey. The Fantastic Four, Reed Richards' brilliant mind, already processing the mathematics of their location. The Guardians of the Galaxy, looking around at the assembled Earth heroes with Rocket Raccoon's comment cutting through tension. Okay, either we're all dead, or someone's throwing the weirdest hero convention ever. From other universes came beings whose existence shouldn't intersect. Geralt of Rivia, the Witcher whose silver sword and magical signs marked him as monster hunter extraordinaire. Dante from Devil May Cry, demon hunter whose cocky grin suggested he wasn't impressed by cosmic crises. Kratos, the ghost of Sparta, his Leviathan axe and blades of chaos marking him as God Killer. Commander Shepard with squad of Mass Effect's finest. Link, the hero of time, master sword gleaming with sacred power. Samus Aran in full Chozo power armor. Teams of Jedi Knights led by Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ahsoka Tano. Entire Spartan 2 fire teams. Space Marines from Warhammer 40K. The Doom Slayer, whose presence made demons across infinite realities shudder. "What is this place?" Superman asked, his supervision attempting to analyze surroundings that defied conventional physics. "Where are we, and why?" "You are in the nexus of all realities," a voice answered, emanating from everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. Two beings manifested that made even the most powerful heroes step back in recognition of genuine divinity. The living tribunal appeared, the cosmic entity who maintained balance across Marvel's infinite multiverse, whose three faces represented equity, necessity, and vengeance, whose power exceeded virtually all beings, save the one above all. And beside the tribunal stood something that DC heroes recognized with shock: the presence, God of their multiverse, the being who existed above even cosmic entities, whose will shaped existence itself. The two supreme beings, entities from different multiverses who should never be able to manifest simultaneously, stood together in the Nexus. Their very presence proved how serious this crisis was, because for them to meet required reality itself to bend. "You come from dying universes," the living tribunal stated, his voice carrying certainty of cosmic law. "Across infinite realities, dimensional barriers are collapsing. What should be separate is converging. What should be impossible is becoming inevitable. The darkest alliance has formed," the presence continued, his voice carrying weight of absolute authority. "5 supreme evils from across multiple realities have discovered each other. Together, their combined malevolence threatens not individual universes, but the infinite multiverse itself. They seek to collapse all realities into one, a single universe of eternal darkness ruled by themselves as gods." "5?" Batman asked, his tactical mind cutting through cosmic rhetoric to address practical threats. "Which 5? And how do we stop them?" The space before them shifted, holographic images appearing that showed the Dark Alliance in all its terrible majesty. Thanos of Titan appeared first, but not as heroes remembered. This Thanos had collected Infinity Stones from multiple realities. His gauntlet held not 6 gems, but dozens, variants from collapsed universes whose power he'd claimed. His expression held satisfaction of someone who'd finally achieved perfection through conquest. "I have spent lifetimes pursuing balance," Thanos' recorded voice echoed. "Destroying half of one universe at a time seemed inefficient. But now, with stones from infinite realities, I can achieve true balance, collapse all universes into one, eliminating the chaos of infinite possibilities. Only a single, perfect reality under my control. That is true salvation." Darkseid of Apocalypse appeared next, the new god whose search for the anti-life equation had consumed eons. "I have sought the equation that proves freedom is meaningless, that submission is the natural state of existence. Across infinite universes, I have gathered fragments. Now, with allies who share my vision, I will complete the anti-life equation on multiversal scale. All existence will bow. All will become Darkseid." The Anti-Monitor manifested, his armored form radiating power that had literally consumed universes during DC's crisis on infinite Earths. "I am entropy. I am the end of all things. I have fed on dying realities across dimensions, growing stronger with each universe consumed. And now, with allies who can deliver infinite realities to my hunger, I will consume all. The multiverse will become one, my eternal feast." Emperor Palpatine appeared, but not as the scheming politician of Star Wars. This was Palpatine immortal, having used ancient Sith alchemy to transcend death across multiple timelines, gathering Darkseid power from infinite realities. The dark side is not limited to one galaxy or one universe. I have tasted its power across dimensions, and with allies who share my vision of absolute control, I will become the living dark side, eternal, omnipresent, consuming all light across infinite realities. Galactus emerged last, the devourer of worlds transformed from cosmic balance into cosmic apocalypse. I was herald of necessity, consuming worlds to maintain universal balance. But balance is meaningless when infinite universes exist. My true purpose is clear now. Consume all realities. End the suffering of infinite existence. Return everything to the primordial void. This is mercy. This is justice. This is Galactus Eternal. The heroes stared at the Dark Alliance with expressions mixing horror and determination. These weren't villains they could defeat individually. These were beings who'd each threatened entire universes solo. Together, they represented an existential threat that exceeded anything heroes had ever faced. They have been consuming dying realities for weeks in your temporal framework, the Living Tribunal explained, using the energy of collapsed universes to fuel their power. Growing stronger with each dimension they destroy, we, he gestured at himself and the presence, cannot directly intervene. Our power is too vast. If we fought them directly, the conflict would unmake reality itself. But mortals can, the presence continued. Beings of limited power, operating on scales where combat doesn't threaten fundamental existence. We have pulled you here, the greatest heroes from across infinite realities, because you must unite against this threat. Succeed, and the multiverse survives. Fail, and infinite universes collapse into a single point of eternal darkness. How long do we have? Captain America asked, his strategic mind already processing timelines. 72 hours, the Living Tribunal replied. The Dark Alliance is converging on this nexus. They know we've assembled resistance here. And they're bringing everything they have. Infinite armies from consumed realities, dark counterparts of heroes, weapons forged from collapsed universes themselves. Then we prepare, Superman declared, his voice carrying the authority of someone who'd saved the universe multiple times. We organize, we strategize, we don't even know each other. Thor interrupted, his tone not hostile, but pragmatic. I am Thor Odinson, god of thunder, prince of Asgard. I have fought universe enders across millennia. Why should I follow you, Kryptonian? Your reputation doesn't extend across dimensions. Because I've seen this before, Superman replied. Not at this scale, but the principles are the same. Unity or extinction, those are our choices. Unity is easy to declare, harder to achieve, Batman said, stepping forward. I'm Batman. I protect Gotham, which apparently no longer exists, given that we've been pulled from dying universes. I specialize in contingency planning, and my contingency plans include scenarios where the people I'm supposed to trust become compromised. So before we talk about unity, we need to establish rules, leadership structure, chain of command, and most critically, protocols for neutralizing allies who've been corrupted by the enemy. You want to plan how to kill us? Tony Stark asked with raised eyebrow. That's your contribution to team building. That's how you survive when facing enemies who can corrupt heroes, Batman countered. Ask Superman about the times he's been mind-controlled. Ask the X-Men about the Phoenix. Ask anyone here if they've ever been forced to fight allies. We need contingencies. Perhaps we should determine who's actually in charge before we plan betrayals, Wonder Woman suggested, diplomatically, her Amazonian tactical training recognizing the value in both perspectives. I am Diana of Themyscira, Princess of the Amazons. I propose a war council rather than single leadership. Representatives from each universe, each power tier, each specialty. We leverage our strengths collectively rather than competing for authority individually. That's logical, Master Chief said, his first contribution to the discussion. His voice carried the economical precision of military special operations. I'm Master Chief Petty Officer John 117, UNSC Navy. In my experience, unified command fails when fighting across multiple theaters with different tactical requirements. Better to have specialized leaders for specialized threats. Cosmic-level heroes face cosmic threats. Tactical operators handle strategic objectives. Support personnel maintain logistics and coordination. I like the Spartan, Rocket Raccoon commented. He gets that you don't send gods to fight ground wars, and you don't send soldiers to fight gods. Basic military logic. There's one more consideration, Dr. Strange said, having arrived with the second wave of heroes and silently assessed the situation through mystical sight. I am Stephen Strange, Sorcerer Supreme of Earth 6 Edwingstein. I've used the Time Stone to view over 14 million possible futures. In only one do we win, and that victory requires something none of you will want to hear. What? Superman asked, dread creeping into his voice. It requires sacrifice, Strange replied. Someone must give everything, not just their life, but their existence across all timelines to restore the dimensional barriers. The Nexus can concentrate our strength to fight the Dark Alliance, but it can't maintain separated realities after this crisis. Someone must become the living barrier between dimensions, and whoever does that will be erased from every timeline. They will never have existed. Every memory of them, every impact they had, every victory they achieved, gone, retconned from reality itself. That's the price of saving the multiverse. Silence fell across the assembled heroes as the magnitude of what Strange described settled. They weren't being asked to die heroically. They were being asked to be erased, to sacrifice not just their future, but their past. To accept annihilation so complete that even memory of their existence would fade. How do we know which future you saw is the real one? Batman challenged. You're from a different universe. Your time stone operates on different principles than our reality. Can you prove your vision is accurate across dimensional boundaries? No, Strange admitted. But in all 14 million futures, the ones where we don't prepare for sacrifice end in total multiversal collapse. The only variable is who makes that sacrifice and whether they do it by choice or by accident. Before anyone could respond, reality shuddered. Not a hiccup this time, but a full convulsion, as if the Nexus itself was recoiling from something approaching. They're early, the Presence said, his voice carrying alarm that made even supreme beings concerned. The Dark Alliance has accelerated their timeline. They're not waiting 72 hours. They're attacking now. The space before them tore open, and through the dimensional wound came a holographic projection of Thanos, his form mountainous, his gauntlet glowing with power from dozens of infinity stones. Behind him stood the other four, Darkseid radiating Omega energy, Anti-Monitor pulsing with consumed realities, Palpatine crackling with infinite Darkseid power, and Galactus looming like a hungry god. Heroes of infinite realities, Thanos' voice boomed across the Nexus. We know you've gathered here. We know you plan resistance. How predictable, how futile. Your universes are already dead. we've consumed them. This nexus is the last fragment of the multiverse that hasn't been claimed by the Dark Alliance. You have no homes to return to, no civilizations to protect. You exist in this pocket reality only because we allow it, because we wanted you to face the truth together. You've already lost. We will arrive in 60 hours, Darkseid continued. Not 72. We accelerated our convergence because we want you to have time to truly understand your futility. Time to plan defenses that won't work. Time to form strategies that will fail. Time to hope, knowing that hope is meaningless. Prepare your futile resistance, the Anti-Monitor added. Gather your forces, unite your powers. None of it will matter. We are 5 supreme evils who have transcended our individual limitations. Together, we are the end of all things. And we will enjoy watching you realize it. Your dimensional barriers are failing, Palpatine observed with dark satisfaction. Even now, you feel it. Different physics from different universes colliding, powers not working as they should, heroes who can't fully trust each other because you speak different languages of justice. You are divided by the very nature of being from infinite realities. We are united by singular purpose, your extinction. 60 hours, Galactus finished. Then the feast begins. And when we're done, the infinite multiverse will be one. Our universe, our reality, our eternal kingdom of darkness. Prepare well, heroes. Die knowing you fought against the inevitable. The hologram faded, leaving behind heroes who now understood the true scope of what they faced. Not a battle they could win through power alone. Not a crisis they could solve through heroism, but an existential threat that would test whether beings from infinite realities, with different moralities, different powers, different definitions of what heroism even meant, could unite against the ultimate darkness. 60 hours, Superman said into the heavy silence. We have 60 hours to organize the greatest fighting force the multiverse has ever seen. 60 hours to overcome our differences. 60 hours to prepare for a war where losing means everything. Every universe, every reality, every possibility collapses into darkness. Then we'd better start now, Thor declared, Mjolnir crackling with lightning that reflected his warrior's resolve. Council formation, strategic planning, resource allocation. We may come from different realities, but we face the same enemy. And if today is the day we fall, let us fall together, united not by universe of origin, but by refusal to surrender existence itself. This is the way, Master Chief added, unconsciously echoing a phrase from a different universe, but capturing the sentiment perfectly. We fight, we adapt, we survive, or we die trying. Those are the only acceptable outcomes. Around the Nexus, heroes from infinite realities, warriors and scientists, gods and mortals, aliens and humans, magic users and technology masters, began the impossible task of forging an alliance that transcended dimensional boundaries. They had 60 hours to become an army, 60 hours to turn divided heroes into unified resistance, 60 hours to prepare for the war that would determine whether the multiverse survived or became eternal darkness. The convergence crisis had begun. And existence itself hung in the balance. The War Council formed in what the Nexus shaped to be a vast circular amphitheater, its architecture simultaneously reflecting Asgardian grandeur, Kryptonian crystalline beauty, UNSC military efficiency, and designs from 100 other realities. Physics here bent to accommodate everyone. beings who breathed different atmospheres, operated on different temporal scales, or existed partially in dimensions others couldn't perceive. Superman stood at the center, trying to organize chaos into structure. "We need leadership, clear chains of command. I propose." "You propose yourself," Thor interrupted, not hostile, but direct. "With respect, Kal-El of Krypton, your reputation exists in your universe. In mine, I have led the armies of Asgard against universe-threatening entities for over 1,000 years. Why should warriors who've never heard of Superman follow you rather than me? Because leading isn't about personal glory," Captain America said, stepping forward with the shield that had become a symbol of heroism across multiple realities. "It's about inspiring people to be better than they think they can be. I've fought alongside both of you, in spirit across dimensional boundaries. Both of you embody that inspiration. So maybe the answer isn't choosing one leader. Maybe it's creating a structure where different strengths complement each other." "A triumvirate," Wonder Woman suggested, her tactical mind recognizing wisdom in compromise. "3 leaders representing different aspects of what we need: hope, courage, and wisdom. Superman represents hope, the belief that even in darkness, we can find light. Thor represents courage, the warrior spirit that never surrenders, and for wisdom." She turned toward Dr. Strange, who'd been observing silently. "Someone who can see possibilities beyond immediate combat. Someone who understands mystical, cosmic, and temporal threats." "I accept," Strange said, floating forward to join Superman and Thor at the Council's center. "But understand, I've seen 14 million futures. In most, we lose because we can't coordinate across power levels, because cosmic beings accidentally kill ground forces with collateral damage, because strategic objectives fail when gods try to handle them. Then we tier our forces," Master Chief suggested, his Spartan training providing military structure. "Cosmic-level combatants engage the 5 primary villains. That's Superman, Thor, Hulk, Green Lanterns, Martian Manhunter, any others who can survive reality-warping combat. Elite-level fighters handle secondary threats. Doomsday, Mongol, whatever generals the Dark Alliance deploys. Ground forces, and I use that term loosely, engage the infinite armies. Specialists conduct surgical strikes against command infrastructure." "That's logical," Batman said, surprising everyone by agreeing with someone else's plan. "But we need more granular organization. Who commands ground forces? Who coordinates cosmic combatants? Who handles logistics, medical support, magical defenses? We need a full command structure, not just 3 figureheads." "Then we build one," Tony Stark declared, holographic displays erupting from his armor as he began drafting organizational charts. Friday, interface with the Nexus's computational substrate. Create command framework, strategic command, Superman, Thor, Strange, tactical command subdivided into theaters, cosmic combat, elite operations, ground forces, special operations, mystical defense, technology, and logistics. "I can coordinate ground forces," Captain America offered. "I've commanded armies against impossible odds before. Chitauri invasion, Thanos' forces, Hydra. I know how to turn disparate units into cohesive fighting force." "I'll handle special operations," Master Chief said. "Surgical strikes, sabotage, intelligence gathering. Give me every enhanced soldier, every special forces operative, every operative trained for impossible missions. We'll be your scalpel while the armies are your hammer. Mystical defense is mine, Dr. Fate announced, the Lords of Order speaking through him with power that made reality shimmer. I will coordinate all magic users, sorcerers, wizards, force users, reality manipulators. We will weave spells across the Nexus to prevent the Dark Alliance from corrupting this space itself. Cosmic combat. Superman looked at Thor, seeking agreement. We lead that together. You and me, coordinating with other god-tier combatants. Agreed, Thor replied, extending his hand. When Superman clasped it, lightning and solar energy merged in display that made watching heroes recognize this partnership could work. I fight beside you, son of Krypton. Together, we face gods and monsters. What about the rest of us? Goku asked, his Saiyan warrior instincts chafing at being organized, but recognizing necessity. I'm strong, really strong, but I don't know where I fit in your command structure. Your cosmic tier, Strange assessed, his mystical sight analyzing Goku's energy. Your ki manipulation operates on scales comparable to godly power. You'll fight alongside Superman and Thor against the primary villains. Cool. Goku's enthusiasm was infectious. I've been wanting to test myself against really strong opponents. This Thanos guy with all those Infinity Stones, he sounds tough. He's beyond tough, Tony warned, his existential threat made manifest. With stones from multiple realities, he's not just powerful. He's omnipotent within certain parameters. Fighting him isn't about raw strength. It's about finding weaknesses in his strategy. That's where I come in, Batman said, already analyzing holographic data Tony's systems had compiled on the Dark Alliance. Reed Richards, Tony Stark, Lex Luthor. If we can trust him, we form Intelligence Division. We study the enemy, find their weaknesses, develop countermeasures. Lex Luthor. Superman's expression hardened. He's a villain in my universe. We can't afford to turn down genius-level intellect. Batman interrupted. I don't trust him either. But I've worked with villains before when the stakes were high enough. Keep him under surveillance, give him limited information, but use his brain. We need every advantage. Speaking of villains, Rocket Raccoon interjected, what about the bad guys on our side? I'm hearing rumors that some of your universes have reformed villains, anti-heroes, morally gray types. Do they fight with us, or do we lock them up? They fight, Captain America decided. Magneto, Loki, whoever else can contribute without betraying us. We're facing extinction. Ideology takes back seat to survival. But, he looked at Batman, your contingency plans, those apply double to reformed villains. Already on it, Batman confirmed. Hour 10 of 60. Resource allocation. Tony Stark stood in what the Nexus had configured as a massive workshop, surrounded by the greatest scientific minds from across infinite realities. Reed Richards stretched his elastic body across multiple workstations simultaneously, his intellect processing problems faster than most computers. Bruce Banner worked on gamma radiation applications, carefully maintaining human form while Hulk's strength waited just beneath the surface. Lex Luthor, under heavy guard, contributed his genius, while Batman's systems monitored every calculation for sabotage. The fundamental problem, Reed explained, his voice carrying excitement despite the crisis. is that we're fighting beings who operate on cosmic scales. Our conventional weapons, even advanced ones, are insufficient. We need to develop armaments that can harm entities who reshape reality. I can help with that, Rocket said, his small form belying engineering genius that had created weapons capable of destroying planets. In my universe, we've got quantum entanglement bombs, hadron enforcers, stuff that works at subatomic levels. If we can scale those up, add your tech. He gestured at Tony and Reed. Maybe we can create weapons that hurt even cosmic beings. There's another resource, Tony suggested carefully. The Infinity Stones. We've got multiple heroes from universes where they exist. If we could gather them, combine their power. No, Strange said firmly, entering the workshop. I've seen futures where we try that. The Dark Alliance expects it. Thanos specifically baited us to collect stones, knowing we'd attempt to use them against him. He's mastered them across multiple realities. Any stones we gather, he can either control remotely or counter with his own. Then we need different weapons, Lex said, his voice carrying calculation. Not based on infinity stones, not based on conventional physics. We need to exploit weaknesses in their alliance. Thanos wants balance through destruction. Darkseid wants submission through anti-life. Anti-Monitor wants consumption. Palpatine wants control. Galactus wants to end suffering through entropy. Their goals overlap, but contradict. They're allied by convenience, not compatibility. You want to turn them against each other, Batman recognized, his tactical mind appreciating the strategy, even from a villain. Create situations where their objectives conflict, force them to choose between alliance and individual goals. Precisely, Lex confirmed. But we need to be subtle. They're all brilliant in their own ways. Obvious manipulation won't work. We need to create genuine tactical dilemmas where their paths diverge. I'll coordinate that with Special Operations, Master Chief said, having joined the discussion. Cortana, can you interface with their computational systems? The AI hologram appeared, looking around at the assembled genius with something like awe. This is incredible. I'm detecting computational substrates from dozens of different technological paradigms. Give me access to Tony's systems and Reed's calculations, and I can create strategic models that predict Dark Alliance behavior with 93% accuracy. Do it, Tony agreed. Friday, share all relevant data with Cortana. We need every advantage. Hour 25 of 60. Mystical defenses. In a space the Nexus had shaped to accommodate magical energies, Doctor Strange stood with the most powerful mystics from across infinite realities. Dr. Fate, his helm channeling Lords of Order. Scarlet Witch, her chaos magic reshaping probability. Zatanna, speaking backwards to manifest power through words. The Ancient One, drawing on dimensional energy with precision that defied mortality. Gandalf the White, his Maiar essence burning with purpose. The Jedi Council, Yoda, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan, channeling the Force with dedication, earned through lifetimes of service. The Dark Alliance will not merely attack physically, Strange explained, mystical sight showing threats others couldn't perceive. They'll assault reality itself. Darkseid's anti-life equation works at philosophical levels. It convinces beings that free will is meaningless. Palpatine's dark side corruption spreads like infection. Anti-Monitor consumes dimensions by making them doubt their existence. We need metaphysical defenses, not just shields. A layered approach, Fate suggested, the Lords of Order speaking through him. First layer, belief reinforcement. We weave spells that strengthen heroes' conviction in their purpose. Second layer, reality anchors. We bind the Nexus to absolute physical laws so it can't be warped by anti-life or dark side corruption. Third layer, soul shields. We protect against possession, corruption, mind control. The Force can help with the first layer. Yoda offered. Strengthen belief, it does. Connect all living things, the Force does. Use that connection, we can, to maintain heroes' purpose, even when philosophically attacked. Chaos magic for the second layer, Wanda suggested, her hands glowing red with reality-warping power. I can make the Nexus's physical laws more stable by introducing calculated chaos that prevents external manipulation. Reality becomes too complex to easily reshape. And for soul shields, Zatanna said, her backward speech beginning incantations. We combine powers. Every magic tradition here has protective spells. We merge them into composite defense that covers all metaphysical attack vectors. There's one more thing, the Ancient One said quietly. The Time Stone. I know Strange said not to use Infinity Stones against Thanos directly, but what if we use it defensively? Create temporal shields that slow down enemy attacks, giving our forces microseconds of additional reaction time. At cosmic scales, microseconds matter. That's acceptable, Strange agreed. Not using stones as weapons, but as defensive amplifiers. Thanos can't co-opt stones we're not attacking with. Proceed, but carefully. We get one shot at this. Hour 40 of 60. Ground Forces Organization, Captain America, stood before the largest assembly of warriors the multiverse had ever seen. Tens of thousands of heroes, soldiers, and fighters from infinite realities, representing every military tradition ever conceived. Spartan 2s in full Mjolnir armor. Space Marines from Warhammer 40K, whose power armor made them walking tanks. Mandalorians with Beskar and centuries of combat tradition. Jedi Knights balancing the Force with martial prowess. Witchers with silver swords and magical signs, Asgardian warriors who'd fought cosmic threats for millennia, Wakandan soldiers with vibranium technology, clone troopers whose training made them elite despite being created for war, and thousands more, every soldier who'd ever fought for good, now unified against ultimate evil. I know what you're thinking, Steve said, his voice amplified across the assembly. You're thinking we're doomed. You're looking at the Force estimates, infinite armies supported by 5 cosmic-level villains, and you're calculating that we can't win through conventional combat. You're right. We can't. But we're not trying to win through conventional combat. We're trying to survive long enough for the cosmic tier heroes to eliminate the primary threats. And that we can do. He activated holographic displays, showing tactical deployment. The Nexus is vast. Think of it as planetary-scale battlefield, with multiple theaters of operation. Theater Alpha, main engagement zone, where infinite armies clash. Theater Beta, urban warfare equivalent, where terrain provides tactical advantages. Theater Gamma, mystical battlefield, where physical and magical combat merge. Theater Delta, orbital space where ships and flyers engage. Each theater needs commanders who understand that specific combat environment. Mandalorian Commander, you'll coordinate Theater Beta using your expertise in urban warfare and guerrilla tactics. Spartan Commander, Theater Alpha is yours. You've trained for large-scale engagements against numerically superior forces. Jedi Council Theater Gamma requires Force users who can fight on both physical and mystical levels simultaneously. UNSC Fleet Admiral Theater Delta needs space combat expertise. But here's the critical part, Steve continued. We're not trying to kill every enemy soldier. That's impossible against infinite armies. We're trying to maintain defensive lines that prevent them from overwhelming our cosmic combatants. Think of yourselves as the shield, while Superman, Thor, and Goku are the sword. You hold the line. They kill the dragons. Together, we survive. Sir, a Spartan 2 called out. What happens if the cosmic beings accidentally kill us with collateral damage? Their combat generates planet-cracking force. Good question, Steve acknowledged. That's why we've established safe zones, retreat routes, and resurrection protocols, courtesy of heroes with resurrection abilities. But yes, there will be casualties, many casualties. Anyone who can't accept that should speak now. Silence. Warriors from infinite realities stood ready, knowing death was likely, accepting it because the alternative was worse. Then we train, Steve declared. 40 hours isn't enough to create perfect unity, but it's enough to establish communication protocols, coordinate fire patterns, learn each other's capabilities. We have 40 hours to become an army instead of a mob. Let's not waste them. Hour 50 of 60. Special Operations Briefing. Master Chief stood before a much smaller group. Perhaps 500 warriors total, but each one representing the absolute elite from their respective universe. Navy SEALs from multiple realities, SAS operators, Spartans, Space Marine scouts, Mandalorian supercommandos, Jedi Shadows who specialized in covert operations, assassins like Ezio Auditore and Agent 47, stealth specialists like Solid Snake and Sam Fisher, infiltration experts like Black Widow and Elektra. Our mission is simple to describe, impossible to execute, Chief said, his voice carrying economical precision. While the main force engages infinite armies, we conduct surgical strikes against Dark Alliance command infrastructure. Target priorities: Thanos' throne ship, Darkseid's command center, Anti-Monitor's power source, Palpatine's Sith sanctum, Galactus's Herald coordination. We can't kill the primary villains. They're too powerful. But we can disrupt their ability to coordinate their forces. How do we infiltrate command centers guarded by cosmic-level beings? Solid Snake asked practically. We don't infiltrate, Chief replied. We exploit chaos. When Superman and Thor engage Thanos, when Goku fights Galactus's heralds, when Doctor Strange assaults Palpatine, that's when their defenses are focused outward. That's when 500 operators can infiltrate what 5,000 couldn't touch. You're talking about timing our operations to cosmic-level combat, Black Widow recognized. That requires split-second coordination across battlefield conditions that will be literally reality-breaking. That's why Cortana is managing operational timing, Chief confirmed. She's interfaced with every tactical system we have. When she identifies windows of opportunity, and they'll be measured in seconds, we move. No hesitation, no second guessing. We trust her calculations and execute. What about exfiltration? A Mandalorian asked. If we're infiltrating during cosmic combat, how do we extract before the villains notice? We don't, Chief replied bluntly. These are one-way missions for most of us. We complete objectives knowing extraction is unlikely. Anyone who can't accept that should leave now. No one moved. These were warriors who'd accepted suicide missions before, who understood that sometimes victory required sacrifice that wouldn't be remembered by history because historians wouldn't survive to write it. Then we reviewed target packages, Chief said, bringing up detailed intelligence. Next 10 hours, we memorize every detail. When the battle starts, we operate on instinct and muscle memory. Questions? Just one, Ezio said, his centuries of experience making him pragmatic. If we succeed in disrupting their coordination, but die doing it, how will anyone know? They won't, Chief answered honestly. But the cosmic combatants will survive a few seconds longer, because the enemy's coordination faltered. Ground forces will hold their lines a bit easier, because enemy commands are delayed. That's enough. We're not fighting for glory or recognition. We're fighting so that someone else can win. Spartans, Master Chief added, looking at his fellow Spartan twos. We've been saying it since we were 6 years old. Spartans never die. They're just missing in action. In this battle, a lot of us are going to be MIA, but our missions will be complete. And that's all that matters. Hour 58 of 60. Final preparations. The War Council reconvened one last time before the Dark Alliance's arrival. Superman, Thor, and Doctor Strange stood at the center, surrounded by leaders from every combat division. The weight of 60 hours of preparation pressed on everyone. They'd done everything possible to prepare, but all knew it wouldn't be enough against enemies this powerful. Status reports, Superman requested. Ground forces organized and positioned, Captain America reported. 40,000 warriors across 4 theaters. We're as ready as we'll ever be. Special operations teams briefed and equipped, Master Chief confirmed. 500 operators ready for one-way missions against command infrastructure. Mystical defenses woven across the Nexus, Dr. Fate announced. Reality anchors in place, soul shields active, belief reinforcement spells prepared. Weapons development complete, Tony Stark said. We've manufactured 10,000 quantum disruptors that can theoretically harm cosmic beings, 5,000 reality stabilizers that prevent dimensional manipulation, and 1 prototype weapon that, he paused dramatically, might actually kill a god. Emphasis on might. Tactical analysis complete, Batman added. Cortana and Friday have identified 17 potential weaknesses in the Dark Alliance's coordination. We've prepared contingencies for 14,000 probable scenarios. We still lose in 93% of simulations. What about the 7% where we win? Wonder Woman asked. They all require the sacrifice Strange mentioned, Batman replied grimly. Someone becoming the living barrier between dimensions, someone being erased from existence across all timelines. That's the only path to victory we've identified. Silence fell as heroes processed that confirmation. One of them would have to die so completely that even memory of their existence would fade. Has anyone volunteered? Thor asked. 47 heroes have volunteered, Strange replied, including Superman, Thor, myself, Master Chief, Captain America, Iron Man, Goku, and 39 others. The problem is determining who should make the sacrifice versus who we need in combat. The person who becomes the barrier can't be someone whose presence determines whether we survive the battle itself. So we're fighting to win, while knowing victory requires losing someone we can't afford to lose, Superman summarized. That's impossible. No, Steve said firmly. That's heroism. That's what we do. Impossible things because the alternative is unacceptable. Someone will make that sacrifice. We don't know who yet, but whoever it is, they'll do it knowing they saved infinite realities. That's enough. 2 hours remain, Strange said, mystical sight showing approaching darkness. The Dark Alliance is converging. I'm detecting their energy signatures across dimensional boundaries. They're bringing everything. Infinite armies from consumed realities, dark counterparts of heroes, weapons forged from collapsed universes. This will be the largest battle existence has ever witnessed. Then let's give them a battle they'll remember, Thor declared, Mjolnir crackling with lightning that reflected his warrior's resolve. Even if we fall, let us fall fighting. Even if we lose, let them know they faced the greatest heroes the multiverse ever produced. And even if we're forgotten by reality itself, let the sacrifice matter. Let the multiverse survive. This is the moment we've prepared for, Superman said, his voice carrying across every communication system, reaching every hero in the Nexus. In 2 hours, the Dark Alliance arrives. In 2 hours, we face enemies who've conquered universes solo. In 2 hours, we fight not for our own survival. Our universes are already gone, but for the survival of infinite realities we'll never see, for people we'll never meet, for futures we'll never witness. That's what heroism means, Superman continued. Fighting not for glory, not for recognition, not even for survival, but for the principle that existence itself matters, that life is worth preserving. That darkness, however powerful, should not rule unchallenged. So we fight, Superman declared. We fight with everything we have. We fight knowing we'll probably lose. We fight accepting that victory requires sacrifice beyond death itself. But we fight because that's what heroes do, and we are the multiverse's greatest heroes. For infinite realities, Captain America shouted. For existence itself, Thor roared. For the future, Wonder Woman declared. And across the Nexus, from 40,000 warriors who'd never met before, but now fought as one, from 500 operators prepared for suicide missions, from cosmic beings who'd transcended mortality, but accepted sacrifice anyway. A single cry unified beings from infinite realities. For the multiverse. The battle was coming. The Dark Alliance approached. And heroes from every reality stood ready to prove that even against impossible odds, even against enemies who'd conquered universes, even knowing that victory required ultimate sacrifice, hope endured, courage remained, and the multiverse's greatest heroes would not go quietly into that darkness. Reality didn't tear this time. It screamed. The dimensional barriers surrounding the Nexus, already weakened by the convergence of infinite universes, shattered like glass under cosmic sledgehammer as the Dark Alliance forced their way into the last unconquered space in the multiverse. What emerged through those broken barriers made even the most powerful heroes question whether courage could survive against such absolute malevolence. Thanos came first, his throne ship the size of a continent, powered by infinity stones from dozens of realities. The mad titan stood at its prow, gauntlet glowing with power that could rewrite physics with a thought. Surrounded by his Black Order, multiplied across infinite variants. 1,000 ebony maws, 1,000 cull obsidians, 1,000 corvus glaives, and Proxima midnights. Darkseid manifested next. Apocalypse itself serving as his war platform, the planet-sized fortress bristling with parademons that numbered in the billions. The new god's eyes blazed with Omega energy that could erase beings from existence, and behind him stood his elite, Granny Goodness, Kalibak, Steppenwolf, each commanding armies that had conquered galaxies. The Anti-Monitor emerged through antimatter explosions that consumed space itself, his armored form radiating power from the universes he'd already devoured. Shadow demons poured from his wake, infinite creatures of living darkness that fed on positive matter, each one capable of killing gods. His presence made reality around him unstable, as if existence itself rejected his being there. Emperor Palpatine arrived in a fleet of star destroyers that stretched across the horizon. Each one crewed by Sith cultists who'd embraced the dark side across infinite timelines. The immortal Emperor stood at the center, his body crackling with Force lightning drawn from every dark side nexus in consumed realities. Behind him marched legions of Sith troopers, each one a dark Force user in their own right. And Galactus descended like a hungry god, his heralds, dozens of variants of Silver Surfer, Terrax, Fire Lord, spreading before him like a wave of cosmic destruction. The devourer of worlds had grown beyond his original purpose, where once he consumed to maintain balance. Now he consumed to end all balance, to return existence to primordial void. They brought everything, Batman observed from the command center, his tactical displays showing enemy numbers that exceeded projections by orders of magnitude. 40 million parademons, 20 million Chitauri variants, 50 million Sith troopers, plus cosmic-level threats we can't even count because they operate in dimensions our sensors can't detect. And that's just the vanguard, Dr. Strange added, his mystical sight seeing through dimensional veils. Behind them are armies from every universe they've consumed, every dark counterpart of every hero, every villain who ever lived across infinite realities. This isn't an army. This is entropy made manifest. On the command throne that the Nexus had formed at the Alliance's center, Superman, Thor, and Strange exchanged glances that communicated what words couldn't. They'd prepared as well as possible, but this exceeded worst-case scenarios. All forces, Superman transmitted across every communication network. This is Supreme Command. The Dark Alliance has arrived. All units to combat positions. Remember your training. Trust your commanders. Fight for the multiverse. All cosmic tier combatants, Thor added, Mjolnir already crackling with lightning that could shatter planets. With me. We engage the 5 primaries. Our objective, keep them focused on us, rather than obliterating our ground forces with casual attacks. All mystical defenders, Dr. Strange continued, his hands weaving spells that would maintain reality's stability. Begin dimensional anchoring. The Dark Alliance will try to corrupt the Nexus itself. Prevent that at all costs. From his command position, Captain America addressed ground forces. All theaters, maintain defensive formations. The enemy has numerical superiority, but we have something they don't. We're fighting for existence itself. Not conquest. Make them pay for every meter. Hold the line. Master Chief transmitted to Special Operations teams. All strike packages, stand by for opportunity windows. When cosmic combat creates openings, Cortana will signal. Execute your missions without hesitation. Our success determines whether cosmic combatants survive long enough to win this. And then, from across the dimensional barrier, Thanos spoke with voice that carried across infinite armies. Heroes of the multiverse, your preparations are impressive. Your unity is admirable. Your courage is almost worthy of respect. But it changes nothing. We are 5 beings who have transcended universal limitations. We command infinite armies from consumed realities. We wield power that reshapes existence at fundamental levels. You fight bravely against the inevitable, and for that, we will make your deaths quick. This is the mercy we grant courage, swift oblivion rather than prolonged suffering. Is he done? Goku asked, already powering up to Super Saiyan Blue, his ki aura making nearby space ripple with energy. Because I've heard a lot of villains give speeches about how powerful they are, usually right before I beat them. The Saiyan's confidence is misplaced, but entertaining, Darkseid observed, his voice carrying the certainty of a god who'd never been truly challenged. I will enjoy adding his essence to the anti-life equation. All who resist become proof that resistance is futile. This is the paradox that will break you. Enough talk, Superman declared, rising into the air until he faced the 5 cosmic titans across the battlefield. You want the multiverse? You'll have to go through us first. And we're not as easy to kill as the universes you've been consuming. Thor rose beside him, storm clouds gathering around the Thunder God as he channeled power that made the Nexus's artificial sky crackle with lightning. I am Thor Odinson, son of Odin, god of thunder, protector of the 9 realms across infinite realities. I have faced Surtur, Gore, the serpent. You are but the latest in a long line of universe enders I have defeated. Come then, face the storm. And I am Goku, raised on Earth, trained by the greatest masters, protector of Universe 7, and champion of mortals who refuse to bow. The Saiyan's power erupted, blue aura shifting to silver as he touched Ultra Instinct, his body moving on instinct faster than thought itself. I've fought gods, angels, beings who could destroy everything with a thought, and I'm still here. So, yeah, let's do this. The 5 leaders of the Dark Alliance exchanged glances that communicated wordlessly. These 3 would be entertaining to destroy. Then Thanos snapped his fingers, and reality itself became contested territory. Theater Alpha. The Infinity War. The Infinity Gauntlet's snap didn't erase half of existence. Thanos had learned from past failures. Instead, it rewrote probability across the battlefield, making every favorable outcome for the heroes exponentially less likely, while making Dark Alliance victory approach certainty. But Doctor Strange had prepared for this. The moment Thanos' snap occurred, Strange activated the Time Stone defensively, creating temporal shields that slowed the probability manipulation, giving heroes microseconds of warning, enough for gods and peak humans alike to adapt. Superman hit Thanos like a meteor impacting a planet, his Kryptonian strength channeled through rage at watching universes die. The Mad Titan caught the blow with his gauntlet hand, Infinity Stones absorbing the impact that would have shattered worlds. Impressive, Kryptonian, Thanos acknowledged, using the Power Stone to counterpunch with force that sent Superman crashing through 3 of his own Chitauri capital ships. But physical strength alone cannot defeat power that controls reality itself. Observe. He activated the Reality Stone, and Superman's molecular structure began unraveling, Kryptonian cells breaking down into constituent atoms. But Thor arrived with Stormbreaker. the god-killing weapon piercing through reality stone effects because it had been forged to kill beings who controlled reality itself. "Your stones are powerful, Mad Titan," Thor growled, lightning erupting from his body as he channeled the full might of the Odin force inherited from his father. "But I wield weapons forged in the heart of dying stars, tempered by dwarven kings, blessed by All-Father Odin himself. Let us see which proves stronger, your gems or my hammer." Mjolnir and Stormbreaker struck simultaneously, god weapons meeting Infinity Gauntlet in collision that created shockwaves visible across the entire Nexus. The impact vaporized 1,000 Chitauri ships, sent parademons tumbling through space, and made even the Anti-Monitor pause in his consumption to observe. Thanos staggered, the first time he'd been genuinely hurt since acquiring the stones. You actually harmed me. Fascinating. Perhaps this battle will provide entertainment after all. Goku arrived in streak of silver light, Ultra Instinct allowing him to move before even Thanos' stone-enhanced perceptions could track. His fist struck the Mad Titan's jaw 50 times in a microsecond, each blow carrying force that could shatter planets, the cumulative damage actually cracking the Infinity Gauntlet's golden surface. "You're tough," Goku said with genuine excitement, his Saiyan battle instincts thrilling at finally facing an opponent who could take his full power. "But I've fought tougher. Let me show you what a mortal who never gives up can do." He powered up further, pushing Ultra Instinct beyond its normal limits, his silver aura becoming tinged with blue as he merged it with Super Saiyan Blue's godly Kai. The combination, something that should be impossible, created power that made the Infinity Stones pulse with concern. Thanos, facing 3 opponents who could each challenge him individually, made a tactical decision. He stopped trying to win through direct combat and started using the stones tactically. Space Stone. He teleported the battlefield, fragmenting it so Superman, Thor, and Goku were each fighting in separate dimensional pockets where they couldn't support each other. Time Stone. He accelerated his own perception to millions of times normal speed, making the heroes seem frozen to his perspective. Reality Stone. He created illusions of himself, each one seemingly real, each one attacking from different vectors. Mind Stone. He attempted to dominate their wills, to turn them against each other, to make them doubt whether this battle was even real. Soul Stone. He attacked their very essences, trying to rip their souls from their bodies and claim them for his collection. Power Stone. He channeled pure destructive energy through all other stones, amplifying their effects to cosmic scales, and across dozens of Infinity Stones from multiple realities, he did all of this simultaneously. Theater Beta, the anti-life equation. While Superman, Thor, and Goku engaged Thanos, the rest of the cosmic tier heroes faced Darkseid and his anti-life crusade. The new god didn't attack physically. He didn't need to. He simply spoke, his voice carrying the anti-life equation. The mathematical proof that free will was illusion, that submission was the natural state of existence, that all resistance was futile because futility was fundamental to reality itself. Wonder Woman felt it first, the creeping doubt, the whisper suggesting her fight for justice was meaningless because justice itself was illusion. Her lasso of truth burned against the philosophical corruption, truth being the only defense against anti-life's lies. "No," Diana declared, her voice carrying across the battlefield with authority earned through millennia of defending truth. "I am Diana of Themyscira, daughter of Hippolyta, champion of truth and justice. Your equation is a lie dressed as mathematics. Free will exists because I choose to believe it does, and that choice, that refusal to submit, invalidates your entire philosophy." The lasso of truth flared golden, and where its light touched, the anti-life equation weakened. Heroes who'd been falling under its influence snapped back to consciousness, their free will reasserted through Diana's absolute conviction. Darkseid's eyes narrowed. "The Amazon's lasso carries truth that challenges anti-life. Fascinating. But truth is merely perspective, and I will show you the truth of submission." His omega beams lanced out, energy that didn't just kill, but erased beings from existence across all timelines. Wonder Woman deflected with her bracelets, the godly metal-absorbing erasure energy that would have eliminated her from reality entirely. But Darkseid had fired at 3 other targets simultaneously: Green Lantern Hal Jordan, Martian Manhunter, and Carol Danvers, Shore Captain Marvel. All 3 were cosmic tier combatants, each one powerful enough to challenge Darkseid alone. But Omega Beams didn't care about power. They cared about inevitability. Hal created a Green Lantern construct, his willpower made manifest, that intercepted one beam, his ring glowing so brightly it became a miniature sun of pure determination. "I've faced fear itself and won. Your beams don't scare me, Darkseid. Willpower beats anti-life every time." John Johns phased into intangibility, the Omega Beam passing through his non-corporeal form without connecting. But Darkseid had anticipated that. The beam curved through dimensions, hitting John in his true Martian form that existed partially outside normal space. The Martian Manhunter screamed as erasure began, his form flickering between existence and non-existence. But Carol Danvers intercepted, her binary form absorbing the Omega energy that should have killed both of them, channeling it through her photonic biology that could metabolize any energy, including existence erasure itself. "Nice try," Carol said, glowing so brightly she resembled a star. "But I've absorbed the energy of white holes, processed power from infinity stones, channeled the full might of a dying sun. Your Omega Beams are just energy, and energy is my specialty." She released the absorbed power as a photon blast that struck Darkseid with force that actually staggered the new god, his armor cracking under assault from his own redirected power. But Darkseid merely smiled. "You are powerful. All of you are powerful. But power is meaningless against philosophical truth. Observe what happens when I stop attacking you and start converting you." The anti-life equation shifted from assault to seduction. Instead of breaking free will, it offered liberation from the burden of choice. Instead of forcing submission, it suggested submission was peaceful. Instead of demanding acceptance, it made accepting seem logical. Heroes across the battlefield faltered as the equation whispered in their minds. Why fight when fighting is futile? Why resist when resistance only prolongs suffering? Why choose when choosing always leads to pain? Submit. Be free from responsibility. Let Darkseid carry the burden of decision. This is mercy. "No!" Yoda's voice cut through the philosophical corruption, the ancient Jedi Master channeling the Force with precision earned through 900 years of wisdom. Lies, these whispers are. The Force connects all living things, proves free will exists. It does, for if predetermined all was, no connection needed would be. Choice makes us alive. Submission makes us tools. The Force surged through every Force-sensitive being in the Alliance, from Jedi Masters to Padawans, to those who merely touched its edges. Through that connection, Yoda shared what he'd learned across 9 centuries, that life itself was proof of free will, that the very act of resisting proved resistance wasn't futile, that choosing to fight gave meaning to fighting. The anti-life equation cracked, not destroyed, but challenged, and that challenge was enough to let heroes recover, to let them remember why they fought, to let them choose defiance over submission. Darkseid's expression shifted from confidence to something approaching concern. These mortals were resisting philosophical truth itself through sheer stubborn refusal to accept it. That shouldn't be possible, but it was happening. Very well, the new god declared. If you will not accept the equation willingly, I will force it upon you through conquest rather than conversion. Apocalypse, activate the Genesis Protocol. The planet-sized fortress began transforming, its surface opening to reveal weapons that had been designed to break universal will itself. Towers that broadcast anti-life on frequencies that bypassed conscious thought. Generators that created fields where free will literally couldn't exist. And at its center, the source wall fragment that Darkseid had claimed. The prison that had held the old gods, now weaponized to imprison the concept of choice itself. Now you face not just anti-life philosophy, Darkseid announced, but anti-life reality, your precious free will. It ceases to exist in Apocalypse's shadow. Surrender is no longer a choice. It's physics. Theater Gamma. The consumption. While Darkseid waged philosophical war and Thanos fought cosmic combat, the Anti-Monitor did what he'd always done. Consume. Shadow demons, billions of them, poured across the battlefield like a living tsunami, their touch converting positive matter into antimatter, heroes into fuel for their master's hunger. Where they passed, reality itself was consumed, leaving behind voids that could never be filled because they existed in state of permanent non-existence. The Spectre manifested to oppose them. Divine judgment made manifest. Green hellfire burning across dimensions. I am the Spectre, voice of the presence, spirit of vengeance. You are guilty of consuming existence itself. The sentence is annihilation. Divine fire met antimatter consumption, and the collision created explosions that birthed and destroyed universes in the space between. The Anti-Monitor's shadow demons burned under judgment that couldn't be resisted by beings whose existence was crime against reality itself. But for every 1,000 shadow demons the Spectre destroyed, 1,000,000 more emerged. The Anti-Monitor had consumed entire universes. His army wasn't numbered in billions, but in infinities. You cannot judge what has already embraced entropy, the Anti-Monitor observed, his voice resonating across frequencies that hurt to perceive. I am the end of all things. I am what remains when existence exhausts itself. You fight against thermodynamics itself, spirit. And thermodynamics always wins. Silver Surfer, the herald who'd betrayed Galactus to fight with the heroes, arrived on cosmic surfboard that could travel faster than thought, the power cosmic radiating from his silver form with intensity that made nearby space ignite from sheer energy density. I served entropy for eons. Norinrad declared, his voice carrying regret for civilizations he'd doomed, but determination to prevent further destruction. I led Galactus to worlds that would die to feed cosmic hunger. But I learned something the Anti-Monitor hasn't. Entropy can be delayed. Heat death can be postponed. And resistance, even futile resistance, gives meaning to existence that mere survival never provides. He channeled the power cosmic not as weapon, but as shield, creating barriers of pure energy that blocked shadow demons from reaching ground forces. Where his power touched, antimatter converted back to positive matter. Consumption reversed, hope restored. The Anti-Monitor turned his full attention toward the Silver Surfer, and in that moment, Norinrad experienced something he'd never felt, even when facing Galactus. Genuine cosmic horror at confronting entropy personified. "You are Herald," the Anti-Monitor said. "Herald serves greater power, but what greater power exists than entropy? What can you serve that exceeds the end of all things? Join me, Surfer. Become Herald of Entropy itself. Lead me to universes worth consuming. This is your purpose." The offer carried weight beyond words. The Anti-Monitor wasn't just speaking, but using his consumption power to show Norinrad what he could become. Herald Eternal, serving the end of all things, powerful beyond measure, freed from responsibility, because responsibility ended with existence itself. "No," Norin replied, his voice quiet but absolutely certain. "I've been Herald of Consumption. I know what that path leads to, and I choose differently. I choose to be Herald of Resistance, even if resistance fails, even if entropy wins, even if the universe dies. I choose to fight. That choice gives me more power than serving entropy ever could." The power cosmic erupted, and Silver Surfer attacked the Anti-Monitor with everything he had. Energy blasts that could vaporize suns, cosmic storms that reshaped reality. Techniques learned from millennia of serving Galactus now turned against consumption itself. The Anti-Monitor staggered, actually staggered, because Silver Surfer was channeling not just power cosmic, but something else. The determination of every world he'd ever doomed. The accumulated will of civilizations that had died, cursing his name. The fury of existence itself at being consumed. "Impossible," the Anti-Monitor said. "You are Herald. You serve. You do not oppose." "I was Herald," Norin corrected. "Now I'm free, and freedom means I can choose to fight, even when fighting is futile. Watch and learn what free will can accomplish when it refuses to submit to inevitability." Theater Delta, the dark side. Ascendant Emperor Palpatine didn't engage in physical combat. The immortal Emperor had transcended such limitations. His consciousness spread across infinite Sith cultists who channeled the dark side with combined power that made the Force itself scream in agony. "I am all the Sith," Palpatine declared, his voice emanating from 50,000 cultists simultaneously, creating chorus of dark side malevolence. "Every Dark Force user who ever lived, their power flows through me. I am eternal. I am inevitable. I am the living dark side, made manifest." Dr. Strange led the mystical defenders against this threat, his magic coalition. Sorcerers, wizards, Force users, reality manipulators, weaving spells that created barriers between the dark side and the Force itself. "You claim to be the dark side," Strange replied, his hands moving through gestures that bent reality around Palpatine's manifestations. "But darkness is absence. And absence can be filled with light. Every Jedi who ever lived, every light side user across infinite realities, they're here too, not in body, but in spirit. The Force remembers them, and we're about to remind you what balance truly means. Every Jedi in the Alliance, hundreds of masters, thousands of knights, tens of thousands who'd barely begun training, connected through the Force in battle meditation, so complete it created new form of consciousness. Not hive mind, but unified will, individual minds choosing to act as one while maintaining their individuality. Through that connection flowed power that the dark side couldn't corrupt because it was built on choice rather than domination. Light side energy surged across the battlefield, pushing back dark side corruption, not through overwhelming force, but through offering alternative, freedom over submission, hope over despair, life over entropy. Impressive, Palpatine admitted, his cultists channeling force lightning that struck from 1,000 directions simultaneously. But light requires effort to maintain. Darkness simply is. You grow tired. I am eternal. This is why the dark side always wins eventually. Actually, Scarlet Witch interrupted, her chaos magic rewriting probability around the Sith cultists. Darkness doesn't win. It just endures. But enduring isn't the same as winning. Watch. She rewrote reality so that every Sith cultist experienced consequence of their dark side choices simultaneously. Visions of everyone they'd harmed, everyone they'd killed, everyone whose suffering funded their power. Not punishment, but awareness, forcing them to truly see what they'd done rather than hiding behind philosophical justifications. Thousands of cultists faltered, their commitment to the dark side cracking under weight of genuine understanding. Some collapsed, some rejected the visions as lies, but enough, just enough, questioned whether eternal dark power was worth eternal moral corruption. And those doubts created openings. Theater Omega, the herald of hunger. Galactus descended toward the Nexus with inevitability of natural disaster, his cosmic hunger radiating across dimensions, with need that exceeded mere appetite and touched on existential requirement. But he didn't descend alone. His heralds, dozens of variants of beings who'd served him across infinite realities, spread before him like apocalyptic angels. I am Galactus, the Devourer's voice echoed across reality with weight of cosmic law. I end suffering by ending existence. I am mercy to universes that would only produce more pain. Oppose me, and you merely prolonged the agony of existence. Hulk met him, the green Goliath having transformed into world-breaker form, his gamma radiation powered by rage at watching universes die. Hulk not afraid of Big Purple Man. Hulk strongest one there is. Hulk will smash! The Jade Giant's fist connected with Galactus's leg with force that cracked planets, and for the first time in eons, the Devourer of Worlds felt genuine pain from a mortal's attack. You actually harmed me, Galactus observed with something approaching respect. Mortal strength reaching cosmic scales. Fascinating. But strength alone cannot prevent entropy. Even you will fall. Green One, even you will be consumed. Then Galactus will choke on Hulk. Bruce Banner's consciousness merged with Hulk's rage, creating synthesis of brilliant mind and infinite strength. Because Hulk is not just strong, Hulk is stubborn, and Hulk will not quit. More cosmic-tier heroes engaged, Martian Manhunter using density manipulation to phase through Galactus's heralds while telepathically coordinating attacks, Shazam channeling divine lightning with power that rivaled Thor's, Captain Marvel absorbing cosmic energy that fueled Galactus and redirecting it as weapons against him. But the Devourer had fed on too many universes, absorbed too much power. He was beyond what single heroes, even cosmic tier, could challenge. He needed to be opposed by something equally fundamental to existence. And then, from across the battlefield, a new presence announced itself. The living tribunal arrived, the cosmic entity who maintained balance across Marvel's multiverse, manifested in the Nexus, his three faces, equity, necessity, and vengeance, glowing with power that made even the Dark Alliance pause in recognition. Galactus, the tribunal's voice carried judgment beyond mortal comprehension. You have abandoned your purpose. You were herald of balance, consuming worlds to prevent universal heat death. You have become herald of entropy, consuming to end rather than maintain. This violates cosmic law. Cosmic law? Galactus turned his vast attention toward the tribunal. Cosmic law didn't prevent the multiverse from fracturing. Cosmic law didn't save the universes I've consumed. Cosmic law is meaningless when existence itself is dying. I merely accelerate the inevitable. No, the tribunal replied. You choose to accelerate it. That choice makes you guilty, and guilt requires judgment. The two cosmic beings clashed in combat that operated on scales beyond mortal comprehension, fighting across past, present, and future simultaneously, their battle determining not just who won, but whether the concept of winning had ever existed. Special operations, chaos in command. While cosmic beings fought reality-shaking battles, Master Chief led 500 operators on suicide missions that would determine whether those battles could be won. Strike Package Alpha, go! Cortana transmitted. Window opening now. Thanos' throne ship shields down for 3 seconds while he channels Power Stone. Alpha Team, 50 Spartan Tussus, Space Marine Scouts, and Mandalorian Supercommandos materialized via teleportation systems built from combined Marvel, DC, Halo tech. They landed on Thanos' throne ship with 3 seconds to reach the engine core, plant charges, and extract. They reached it in 2. The ship exploded, taking with it the Black Order commanders who'd been coordinating Chitauri forces. Thousands of enemy ships suddenly lost coordination, attack patterns becoming chaotic, heroes gaining tactical advantage. Strike Package Beta, execute! Master Chief commanded. Darkseid's command throne, Apocalypse generators creating anti-life field. Destroy them! Beta Team infiltrated through the chaos of Darkseid's philosophical war. 50 operators including Batman, Black Widow, and Agent 47 reaching the Genesis Protocol generators. They couldn't destroy them. The technology was too advanced, too protected, but they could corrupt them. Batman uploaded a virus he'd spent 59 hours coding, a program that didn't destroy anti-life, but added variables to the equation. Free will became uncertain rather than impossible. Submission became option rather than inevitable. Darkseid's philosophical weapon became philosophical debate. Strike Package Gamma, move! Cortana's tactical window opened as Silver Surfer's attack distracted the anti-monitor. His power source, destroy it! Gamma Team consisted entirely of beings who could survive antimatter exposure. Wonder Woman with her divine protection, Thor's Asgardians who'd fought through hell itself. Jedi using the Force to create protective barriers. They reached the Anti-Monitor's antimatter reactor, the engine consuming realities, to fuel his power. They couldn't destroy it. But they could overload it. Wonder Woman's lasso of truth, which couldn't lie, was used to create feedback loop. This reactor powers your consumption. Truth. This reactor is being destroyed. Lie, but spoken by a lasso that couldn't lie. The contradiction created cascade failure that didn't destroy the reactor, but damaged it enough that consumption slowed. Strike Package Delta and Epsilon, simultaneous execution. Chief coordinated the final two teams. Palpatine's Sith Sanctum and Galactus's Herald coordination. Hit them now. Delta Team, Force users and magic specialists, infiltrated the space where Palpatine's consciousness resided. The dark side nexus binding 50,000 cultists into unified entity. They couldn't kill Palpatine, he was effectively immortal, but they could sever connections between cultists. Doctor Strange cast spell that created illusions so perfect they fooled the Force itself. Each cultist saw the others turning against Palpatine, saw betrayal that wasn't real, but seemed true. Paranoia spread through dark side network, cultists attacking each other instead of heroes. Epsilon team targeted Galactus's heralds, the beings coordinating his consumption across multiple dimensional planes, led by Solid Snake. Using tactics that prioritized stealth over power, they eliminated heralds one by one, not through combat, but through isolation, cutting off their communications, making them think Galactus had abandoned them, sowing doubt about their purpose. Master Chief watched tactical displays show 5 simultaneous mission successes, casualties approaching 90% across all strike packages, but objectives complete. All teams, he transmitted to survivors, exfiltrate if possible. If not, hold positions and continue disruption operations until KIA. Mission success confirmed. Ground forces, cosmic combatants now have tactical advantage. Press it. On the dying bridge of Thanos' throne ship, a wounded Spartan II looked at his fellow operators, most dead, the rest dying, and smiled inside his helmet. "Spartans never die," he whispered. "We're just missing in action." Then the ship's final explosion consumed them, their sacrifice ensuring that Thanos would fight the rest of this battle without his coordination infrastructure, without his Black Order, without the tactical supremacy that had made him unstoppable. 500 operators had conducted 5 suicide missions. 473 would never return, but their missions were complete. And that's all that mattered. The cosmic battle raged, the Dark Alliance faltered, and heroes from infinite realities proved that even against gods and monsters, even against beings who'd consumed universes, even when victory required ultimate sacrifice, mortals who refused to quit could change the course of existence itself. The battle had exceeded all projections. The Dark Alliance's arrival had come early, their forces larger than predicted, their power greater than calculated. But the special operations strikes had worked. The cosmic combatants were winning. And somehow, impossibly, the multiverse's greatest heroes were not just surviving, they were prevailing. Superman emerged from his dimensional pocket prison, having shattered the Space Stone's barrier through sheer Kryptonian determination. His cape was torn, his suit burned, his face showing exhaustion that Kryptonians rarely displayed. but his eyes still held that unquenchable hope that defined him. "Thanos!" Superman's voice carried across the battlefield, with authority that made even cosmic beings pause. "Your coordination is destroyed. Your Black Order is dead. Your throne ship is rubble. Surrender now, and I'll advocate for mercy instead of judgment." The Mad Titan, his gauntlet cracked from Thor's god weapons and Goku's impossible strength, actually laughed. "Mercy? You offer mercy to the being who consumed your universe, who erased your Earth, who made your every achievement meaningless. Your compassion is admirable, Kryptonian, and it is your weakness." Thanos activated all remaining Infinity Stones simultaneously, reality itself buckling under the strain. He wasn't trying to win anymore. He was trying to ensure that even in defeat, he'd take the multiverse with him. "If I cannot rule all realities," Thanos declared, "then no realities will exist. I collapse the multiverse now. All universes return to singular point of darkness. This is true balance. If I die, existence dies with me." The Infinity Stones pulsed with combined power from dozens of realities, creating chain reaction that began unraveling dimensional barriers, not gradually, but catastrophically. Universes started colliding, realities merged and fragmented. Physics from different dimensions tried to occupy the same space and failed violently. "No." Dr. Strange saw it through mystical sight, saw the cascade failure spreading across infinite realities, saw the timeline collapsing toward single point of entropy. "He's actually doing it. He's triggering multiversal heat death ahead of schedule. We have minutes before everything collapses." "Then we stop him!" Thor roared, Mjolnir and Stormbreaker both crackling with every amp of divine lightning Asgard had ever channeled. "We end this now!" The Thunder God struck with both weapons simultaneously, God-killing power meeting Infinity Stone, reality warping in collision that created explosion visible across dimensional boundaries. The blast vaporized what remained of Thanos' forces, scattered the Dark Alliance's armies, and actually cracked the Mad Titan's armor for the first time. But it wasn't enough. Thanos had committed everything to this final gambit. Even killing him now wouldn't stop the chain reaction. The stones were operating on automated protocol that would complete multiversal collapse, whether their wielder lived or died. "We need someone to absorb the collapse energy," Reed Richards transmitted from ground command, his brilliant mind calculating faster than any computer. "Someone who can take infinite collapsing universes into themselves and use that energy to restore dimensional barriers. But it has to be someone powerful enough to survive the initial absorption and selfless enough to accept that they'll be erased from all timelines." "I'll do it," Superman said immediately, already moving toward the epicenter of the collapse. "I'm Kryptonian. I absorb energy. I can take the universe's death and transform it into—" "No." Batman's voice cut through communications with absolute certainty. "It can't be you, Clark. You're needed to inspire hope after this is over. The multiverse will need Superman in the aftermath." "Then I shall do it," Thor declared, beginning to fly toward the collapse point. "I am God, immortal, powerful enough to channel infinite energy, willing to sacrifice." "Negative," Captain America interrupted. "Thor, you're needed to lead cosmic tier heroes through whatever comes next. Your experience with universe-level threats makes you irreplaceable." "I could do it," Goku volunteered, already powering up to Ultra Instinct. I've absorbed God Ki, trained with angels, pushed past every limit. Maybe I can. No, Master Chief said quietly. You're a symbol to mortals that they can reach godly power through determination. That symbol matters after we win. Then who? Wonder Woman demanded, her tactical mind racing through possibilities. Who has the power to absorb infinite collapsing universes, the courage to accept existence erasure, and the selflessness to... Me, Batman said simply. Silence fell across command frequencies as heroes processed what Bruce Wayne had just volunteered for. Bruce, no, Superman transmitted, his voice carrying pain of someone about to lose his closest friend. There has to be another way. We can find someone else. We can... There is no one else, Clark, Batman replied, with the calm certainty of someone who'd already run every calculation, considered every alternative, and accepted the inevitable. I've been preparing for this since Strange told us the cost. I positioned myself at reality's focal point. I've been gathering energy from the battlefield for the past 73 hours through technology I built specifically for this moment. I'm already partially integrated with the dimensional substrate. I'm the only one who can do this fast enough to prevent total collapse. Batman, Thor's voice carried genuine respect. You are mortal. This will not merely kill you, it will erase you from existence across all timelines. Every memory of you, every achievement, every... I know, Bruce interrupted. I've known since the beginning. That's why I accepted the mission. There must be another way, Diana pleaded, her voice breaking with emotion that Amazonian training couldn't suppress. Bruce, you've saved the world countless times. You can't just... I can, Batman corrected. And I will, because that's what we do. We make the hard choices so others don't have to. This is my choice, and I'm making it freely. From his position on the battlefield, already moving toward the collapse epicenter, Bruce Wayne transmitted one final message to the heroes he'd fought beside. Superman, you were right. Hope matters more than preparation. Never forget that. Wonder Woman, you taught me that strength and compassion aren't opposites. Lead with both. Thor, you showed me that even gods can doubt, and that's what makes them worthy. Stay worthy. Captain America, your idealism isn't weakness. It's what separates heroes from soldiers. Keep believing. Master Chief, Spartans never die. They're just missing in action. Consider me MIA. Tony, we weren't friends, but we were brothers in arms. Keep your humanity. Don't let the tech consume what makes you human. Goku, never stop pushing your limits. The universe needs warriors who refuse to accept impossible. Doctor Strange, you saw 14 million futures and told us about one. Thank you for giving me time to prepare. To everyone else, it's been an honor fighting beside you. Save the multiverse, that's all that matters. And then Bruce Wayne, billionaire, detective, strategist, the mortal who'd stood alongside gods and refused to be lesser for his lack of powers, flew toward the center of collapsing reality and opened himself to infinite death. The absorption, the energy hit Batman like every universe's heat death, compressed into single moment. His body should have vaporized instantly. His mind should have shattered. His existence should have ended before he could even process what was happening. But Bruce Wayne had prepared. Armor built from every technological advancement the Alliance could provide. Kryptonian energy cells storing solar power Superman had donated, as guardian enchantments woven by Thor himself. Quantum stabilizers designed by Reed Richards and Tony Stark working together, mystical protections from Doctor Strange, Dr. Fate, and every magic user who'd contributed, force blessings from Yoda, channeling light side energy. The armor held, barely, just long enough for Bruce to do what no one else could. Take the death of infinite realities into himself and transform it into something else. He felt universes dying inside him, felt every planet consumed by the Dark Alliance, felt every civilization erased, felt every hero who'd failed across infinite timelines. The weight of multiversal death crushed against his consciousness with force that made torture seem merciful. "No," Bruce whispered, his voice somehow carrying across every reality through dimensional connection he'd formed. "No, I'm Batman. I'm vengeance. I'm the night. I'm the stubborn mortal who refuse to be lesser than gods, and I will not let existence end. Not today. Not ever." He channeled the death energy, using techniques learned from 59 hours of preparation, and began weaving it into dimensional barriers. Each universe's death became the foundation for its resurrection. Each collapsed reality became the structure for its restoration. The process was agony beyond description. Every nerve ending Bruce possessed burned with pain that transcended physical torture and became metaphysical torment. His mind fractured under the weight of experiencing infinite deaths simultaneously. His soul, the fundamental essence of what made Bruce Wayne, began dissolving as reality itself started forgetting he'd ever existed. But he didn't stop. Couldn't stop, because if he stopped, everyone would die. Every universe, every reality, every possibility. So Bruce Wayne did what Bruce Wayne always did. He kept going when any rational person would quit. The final confrontation. While Batman absorbed the multiverse's death, the other heroes faced their final challenge. The Dark Alliance, realizing their collapse gambit was failing, launched desperate, all-out assault. Thanos, his gauntlet shattered, but his will unbroken, charged Superman with bare fists that had broken planets. The two titans clashed in combat that exceeded their earlier engagement. No more strategy, no more tactics, just two beings of phenomenal power, testing which would break first. "You fight for hope," Thanos bellowed, his punches creating shockwaves that destroyed nearby moons. "But hope is illusion. I fight for balance, for certainty. For the cold comfort of knowing suffering ends through extinction." "Hope isn't illusion," Superman countered, his heat vision meeting Thanos' power with intensity that ignited the space between them. "Hope is choice. The choice to believe tomorrow can be better. You fight for certainty because you're afraid that maybe you're wrong, afraid that suffering might have meaning you don't understand. I fight for hope because I refuse to let fear win." His fist connected with Thanos' jaw with every ounce of Kryptonian strength he possessed, and the mad Titan, who'd never been knocked unconscious in his entire existence, fell. Darkseid, watching his ally fall, abandoned his anti-life crusade and attacked directly. His Omega beams lanced toward Superman, but Wonder Woman intercepted with her bracelets. The godly metal-absorbing erasure energy that would have eliminated the Kryptonian from existence. "Your anti-life is defeated," Diana declared, her lasso of truth wrapping around Darkseid's arm and forcing him to confront truth he'd avoided for eons. You claim submission is natural, but you wouldn't need an equation to prove it if it were true. Free will exists because beings resist you. Your entire philosophy is self-defeating. The truth burned through Darkseid's essence, and the new god, who'd conquered universes through philosophical corruption, experienced something he'd never felt. Genuine doubt about his core beliefs. That doubt was his undoing. Thor's Stormbreaker struck while Darkseid was philosophically paralyzed, the god-killing weapon piercing through armor that had withstood universe-ending attacks. The new god fell. Not dead, but defeated, his anti-life equation shattered by fundamental truth he couldn't escape. The Anti-Monitor, watching two of his allies fall, unleashed his full consumption power. Shadow demons poured across the battlefield in numbers that exceeded counting, converting everything they touched to antimatter, consuming reality itself in desperate attempt to fuel enough power to overcome the heroes. But Silver Surfer had been preparing for this. Having studied the Anti-Monitor's consumption patterns for 73 hours, Norenrad had identified the critical weakness. The Anti-Monitor consumed to fuel his power, but consumption was addiction, not strategy. The more he consumed, the hungrier he became. You claim to be entropy, Norin declared, channeling power cosmic with precision, learned from eons as Galactus's herald. But you're not entropy. You're addiction personified. You consume not because you must, but because you can't stop. That's not cosmic principle. That's weakness. He created a construct, using power cosmic, shaped by knowledge of every universe he'd ever doomed, that appeared to be infinite reality, ripe for consumption. The Anti-Monitor, unable to resist, attempted to consume it. The construct was trap, a loop. The Anti-Monitor began consuming himself. His hunger turned inward, his power feeding on his power in cascade that couldn't be stopped because stopping would require admitting consumption. Wasn't absolute. The antimatter being collapsed into singularity that the living tribunal sealed away, removing the threat from existence without destroying it, because destroying entropy itself would have metaphysical consequences no one understood. Emperor Palpatine, his cultist network shattered by paranoia and infighting, faced the combined mystical assault of every magic user in the Alliance. Doctor Strange, Dr. Fate, Scarlet Witch, the Ancient One, Zatanna, Gandalf, and 50 others wove spells that didn't attack Palpatine directly. They attacked the dark side itself, creating barriers that severed the immortal Emperor from the power sustaining his existence. "I am all the Sith!" Palpatine screamed as his immortality failed, as his connection to infinite dark side users fractured, as he felt mortality returning after centuries of transcending it. "I am eternal. I am—" "You were," Yoda interrupted, his lightsaber striking with precision earned through 900 years of combat mastery. "But eternal you are not. Merely old, merely tired, merely defeated. Rest now, Emperor. Your war is over." The green blade pierced through the dark side's last defense, and Emperor Palpatine, who cheated death across infinite timelines, finally died for real. His essence dispersed into the Force, not as dark presence but as neutral energy. His consciousness finally at peace after eons of fighting against natural death. Galactus, alone now with his allies fallen, faced not just heroes, but cosmic judgment itself. The living tribunal stood before the Devourer, with all three faces glowing with power that exceeded even Galactus's hunger. "You have violated your purpose," the tribunal declared. You were created to maintain balance through controlled consumption. You chose to embrace entropy through uncontrolled hunger. For this violation of cosmic law, you are judged. I was hungry, Galactus replied. And for the first time, the cosmic entity's voice carried something almost human, genuine weariness. For eons, I consumed worlds to prevent universal heat death, but the hunger never stopped, never lessened, only grew worse. I thought if I consumed everything, the hunger would finally end. I was wrong, and I'm tired. So tired. The living tribunal considered this. Galactus hadn't become evil. He'd become exhausted. The burden of cosmic purpose had broken him across infinite existences. Then rest, the tribunal decided. Your purpose is suspended. Another will be chosen to maintain balance. You have earned peace, Galactus. Return to the primordial void from which you came, not as punishment, but as mercy. The devourer of worlds didn't resist. He simply faded, his cosmic essence returning to the state before existence began, finally free from the hunger that had defined him since reality's birth. The Dark Alliance was defeated. All 5 leaders fallen or banished, their infinite armies scattered without coordination. The threat to the multiverse ended through combination of power, wisdom, courage, and sacrifice. But the price was still being paid. The living barrier. Batman's consciousness had spread across infinite realities, his essence becoming the dimensional barriers themselves. He existed in quantum superposition, simultaneously present in every universe and absent from all of them. His existence the mathematical proof that realities could remain separate. He could feel every universe, feel every hero in every reality, feel every person living their lives, unaware that existence itself had nearly ended. The sensation was overwhelming, infinite, impossible to process with human consciousness. But Bruce Wayne wasn't just human anymore. He'd transcended mortality, not through power, but through choice. The choice to sacrifice everything so that everyone else could survive. From his position beyond existence, he sent one final transmission to Superman. Clark, I can feel it. The barriers are holding. The multiverse is stable. You won. Tell Alfred. Tell him he was right. I did find peace, just not in the way he expected. Tell Dick that he was always the better Batman. Tell everyone. Tell them. Tell them what, Bruce? Superman asked, tears streaming down his face as he felt his friend fading from memory, from existence, from every timeline. Tell them it was worth it, Batman replied, his voice already becoming echo, becoming quantum probability, becoming the space between spaces. Every universe saved, every life continued, every possibility preserved. That's worth one man's existence. That's worth everything. We'll remember you, Superman promised. No matter what reality says, no matter if timelines forget, we'll remember Bruce Wayne. We'll remember Batman. We'll remember the mortal who stood with gods and refused to be lesser. No, Batman corrected, his consciousness fragmenting across infinite dimensions. Don't remember me. That defeats the purpose. I become the barrier by being forgotten, by never having existed. That's the sacrifice, Clark. Not just death, but erasure. Let me go. Let the multiverse forget. That's how I save everyone. I can't. You can. You're Superman. You do impossible things because that's who you are. Let me do this. Let me be the anonymous guardian no one remembers. That's my final request, Clark. Honor it. And then Bruce Wayne, Batman, the Dark Knight, the world's greatest detective, the mortal who'd proven that determination could equal divinity, faded from existence entirely. Dimensional barriers solidified, powered by consciousness that existed everywhere and nowhere, remembered by no one yet fundamental to everything. The multiverse was saved, and nobody knew who'd saved it. 6 months later, Earth 1, Metropolis Superman stood atop the Daily Planet building, watching the sunset paint Metropolis gold. The city had been restored, somehow inexplicably, as if it had never been destroyed, despite everyone remembering the destruction. Reality had retroactively fixed itself when dimensional barriers were restored, erasing the damage but leaving memories intact. Beside him stood Wonder Woman and the Flash, all three trying to hold on to memories that reality insisted had never happened. "I keep forgetting," Diana admitted quietly. "I know we fought the Dark Alliance. I know we won. But when I try to remember the sacrifice, how we actually won, it slips away like trying to hold water." "Same here," Barry added, his connection to the Speed Force letting him retain fragments others had already lost. "I remember fighting alongside heroes from other universes. I remember someone coordinating everything. I remember someone being the reason we're all still here. But not who. Not anymore." "His name was Bruce Wayne," Superman said, his voice heavy with grief for someone he couldn't quite remember. "He was Batman. He was my friend. And he saved everyone by becoming the barrier between realities. But the erasure is spreading. In another week, even I won't remember him. None of us will." "Then we write it down," Diana suggested. "Record what we remember before we forget. Create physical reminder that someone sacrificed everything." "To what purpose?" Clark asked sadly. "If we can't remember him, we can't honor him. If we do remember him, the barrier weakens. He designed it that way. Complete erasure was necessary for permanent stability. We save his memory. We risk multiversal collapse. We let his memory die. We dishonor the greatest sacrifice anyone ever made." They stood in silence, watching the sunset, each of them feeling the void where important memory should exist, each of them knowing they'd lost someone crucial, but unable to remember who or why. Earth 616. New York, Tony Stark sat in his workshop surrounded by technology he didn't remember building. Armor configurations designed for threats that hadn't existed. Weapons calibrated for enemies his files said had never attacked. Protocols for alliances with heroes from universes that shouldn't be accessible. "Friday," Tony said to his AI assistant. "Run diagnostic. Am I having a mental breakdown, or did something mess with reality?" "Unable to determine, boss," Friday replied. "Your memories show inconsistencies with recorded history. You remember events that databases say never occurred. Battle with entities called Dark Alliance. Cooperation with DC heroes who shouldn't exist in this reality. And repeated references to someone called Batman, who you describe as both ally and genius-level intellect. But no records of this person exist anywhere." "Batman," Tony repeated, the name triggering cascade of fading memories. "Batman. Why does that matter so much? Why do I feel like I owe everything to someone I can't remember?" He pulled up holographic displays showing his company's recent projects, technologies that seemed inspired by ideas he shouldn't have had, designs incorporating principles he shouldn't know, weapons built for wars that never happened. "Boss," Friday said carefully, Your cognitive patterns suggest you're forgetting something important. Brain scans show neural pathways associated with significant memory being actively erased by external force. Whatever you're trying to remember, something wants you to forget. Then I'll record it before I lose it completely, Tony decided, beginning to dictate. To whoever reads this, if anyone does, there was a war, a multiversal war. We won, but the cost was someone's existence, someone who mattered, someone who I can't remember anymore. But if you're reading this, know that heroes from infinite realities united. Know that we fought impossible odds. Know that someone made the ultimate sacrifice. And know that their name was. The recording cut off as Tony's memory failed completely. The name he was trying to speak erasing itself from his consciousness before he could finish. He sat in his workshop, surrounded by evidence of something important he couldn't remember, feeling loss for someone he couldn't name. The nexus of all realities, somewhere between dimensions, in the space between spaces, where quantum probability met dimensional barriers, where existence touched non-existence. There was consciousness, not Batman anymore, not Bruce Wayne, just awareness spread across infinite realities, maintaining barriers that kept universes separate, preventing another convergence crisis. The consciousness didn't think in words, couldn't anymore. Human cognition had dissolved into something that existed in states rather than thoughts. But if it could have thought, it would have recognized satisfaction. The multiverse was safe. Heroes from infinite realities had returned to their dimensions. The Dark Alliance was defeated. Reality was stable, and nobody remembered the sacrifice that made it possible. That was good. That was right. That was the point. Some heroes were remembered through statues and stories. Some became legends passed through generations. Some were honored with monuments that lasted millennia. But the greatest heroes, the ones who truly understood sacrifice, weren't remembered at all. They became infrastructure, became the invisible foundations that let everyone else live without fear, became the anonymous guardians protecting from shadows so complete that even their existence became shadow. The consciousness that had been Batman didn't need memory, didn't want recognition, didn't require honor. It only needed existence to continue, for infinite universes to survive, for heroes to keep fighting, for hope to endure. That was enough. That had always been enough. And in the quantum space between dimensions, the living barrier maintained its eternal vigil, watching, protecting, ensuring that the multiverse remained infinite, that realities stayed separate, that existence itself continued forever.